I had put a question on my Instagram story, basically asking you guys to ask me some questions, and I thought I would just answer some while I worked. A really popular question that I was getting was how I started in this art thing and kind of what made me start making work and pieces and everything. And honestly, that started when I was really little. I had a sketchbook when I was really little, and I used to draw the characters out of coloring books. So I would get coloring books and I would draw the characters in my sketchbook in pen, and that's kind of how I started that, and I would just draw in my sketchbook. I never really started making paintings until I was in high school, actually. In high school, I took studio art, and when I took studio art, it forced you to make a portfolio. So I was forced to make work, and when I started making work, I started making these, large-scale paintings. It was very different from the work I'm making now, but that's kind of how I started, and then from there it kind of evolved. And my school had a show, an art show, and after that first art show, I think I made like 5 or 6 pieces for the art show. And after that, I decided that I was gonna make an Instagram account for my work. And that was about 6 years ago. And now here we are in the studio. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of, learning along as I go, but yeah, it's kind of how I started. Another question I was getting was if I was going to be having a show or not. And yes, I definitely would like to. Now that I'm in this space, have my own studio and it's open, I definitely want to have a show here. Hopefully in December, actually, of this year, around Art Basel, because we're in Miami, so around Art Basel, to have a show here would be nice. That's kind of the plan right now, but all the work I'm making right now would be to go towards that show. So that's the plan. I was getting a few questions about whether I was going to be selling prints of the work I was making, just because, prints are a little bit easier for some people to buy, and buying a painting, a big painting, isn't always what somebody's able to do. So I get questions sometimes asking about prints, and I've honestly never really sold prints, like an edition of prints, but I will be doing that for the work I'm making now for this potential show in the future. There will be prints that I'll be screen printing myself, actually, of the pieces I'm making. So that'll be like an edition of 50, say, of one of my paintings, and I'll be screen printing those prints, and they'll be made available. So yeah, there definitely will be some prints later on in the future. That's just depending on which pieces I want to make prints of and when the pieces are finished. But yeah, definitely want to make prints. I was getting also a lot of questions about how I got to this stage in my life, in my art career, and honestly, I don't think I'm that far along, but definitely was an interesting road to get here. I ended up not going to art school, and I ended up staying in Miami and going to UM for college, to University of Miami, and I got my degree there. But I always knew that I always knew I wanted to do art after graduating. I wanted to continue what I was doing because I felt like I had devoted so much time to art that it would kind of be a waste had I not, seen it through. And as time went on in college, I thought the plan was to be in a position once I graduated to be able to, get the studio and continue going with art. And honestly, I didn't know if that was going to be the case going into my senior year, which was last year. And then COVID hit, and we were online, and there was no one on campus, and things got a little bit crazy. And I was just working in my garage. And then honestly, TikTok came around, and I decided to start making videos on TikTok, and it kind of just went crazy from there. And TikTok really helped me kind of branch out, and I think that was like the turning point where I decided that I could really do this and get the studio that I wanted to get and try to make it happen. But yeah, that was really kind of the turning point. But I always knew I wanted to keep doing what I was doing. I was so invested in it, even in high school, in art, and making sure that's what I wanted to do, and spent so much time in the garage working, and there was never any doubt that that's what I wanted to do. It was just a matter of getting there. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to the studio. I went all over Miami looking for different warehouses, and honestly, finding a warehouse in Miami is not the easiest thing in the world, but pretty much all of them were rented out. I think during COVID, everyone wanted to start a new business and started renting out warehouses, but yeah, it wasn't easy to find, but we ended up finding this space right here in Little Haiti, close to Design District, so it ended up working out pretty nicely. Aside from the ordeal that it took to get into this space, but we're here now, so. I had some questions about some previous hoodies that I had released, and as far as like clothing goes and releasing merch on the website and clothing and hats and stickers and sweaters, everything I release is for a certain amount of time. So I release something for 48 hours, and after the 48 hours I close it. But that's just kind of how it works, and it works that way because that way I can control how much goes in and how much goes out, and people can get their products, in a reasonable amount of time. Because I do a lot of the printing myself. Sometimes we outsource, but that way everybody can get their things and not have to wait, months to get their clothes, which I know is an issue with some brands. But yeah, that's just kind of how I do it, how I've always done it, and how I intend to keep it. But yeah, there definitely will be some more clothing coming out soon. I want to start having drops more consistent. Every month have different drops. There'll be a couple new colorways of the trucker hats coming out in October, and hopefully we'll have a hoodie and maybe a shirt in October as well. So yeah. But again, it'll be available for a certain amount of time, and then we'll close it.